Tim Vine jokes, Tim Vine one-liners jokes. I phoned the local gym and I asked if they could teach me how to do the splits. He said, "How flexible are you?" I said, "I can't make Tuesdays." He said, "I'm going to chop off the bottom of one of your trouser legs and put it in a library." I thought that's a turn up for the books. And the back of his anorak was leaping up and down, and people were chucking money to him. I said, "Do you earn a living doing that?" He said, "Yes, this is my livelihood." So I was getting into my car, and this bloke says to me, "Can you give me a lift?" I said, "Sure, you look great, the world's your oyster, go for it." You know, somebody actually complimented me on my driving today. They left a little note on the windscreen, it said "parking fine." So that was nice. So I went down my local ice cream shop, and said I want to buy an ice cream. He said hundreds and thousands. I said we'll start with one. He said Knickerbocker glory. I said I do get a certain amount of freedom in these trousers, yes. I went to Millets and said I want to buy a tent. He said to camp. I said butchly sorry, I want to buy a tent. I said I also want to buy a caravan. He said camper. I said campily make your mind up. I was stealing things in the supermarket today while balanced on the shoulders of vampires. I was charged with shoplifting on 3 counts. I bought a train ticket and the driver said Eurostar. I said, "Well, I've been on telly but I'm no Dean Martin." Still, at least it's comfortable. On Eurostar, it's Murder on the Orient Express. I'm so lazy I've got a smoke alarm with a snooze button. I bought some Armageddon cheese today, and it said on the packet best before end. So I went to buy a watch, and the man in the shop said analog. I said no, just a watch. I went into a shop and I said, "Can someone sell me a kettle?" The bloke said Kenwood. I said, "Where is he?" So I went into a pet shop. I said, "Can I buy a goldfish?" The guy said, "Do you want an aquarium?" I said, "I don't care what star sign it is." I was in this restaurant and I asked for something herby. They gave me a Volkswagen with no driver. I went to the doctor. I said to him I'm frightened of lapels. He said, "You've got cholera." So I met the bloke who invented crosswords today. I can't remember his name, it's P something T something R. So I went down the local supermarket, I said I want to make a complaint, "This vinegar's got lumps in it," he said those are pickled onions. So this bloke says to me, "Can I come in your house and talk about your carpets?" I thought that's all I need, a J.E. Hoover's witness. I was having dinner with my boss and his wife and she said to me, "How many potatoes would you like, Tim?" I said, "Ooh, I'll just have one. Please." She said, "It's okay, you don't have to be polite." "All right," I said, "I'll just have one then, you stupid cow. You know, I'm not very good at magic, I can only do half of a trick." "Yes, I'm a member of the magic semicircle. You see, I'm against hunting, in fact I'm a hunt saboteur. I go out the night before and shoot the fox. You see, my next door neighbor worships exhaust pipes, he's a Catholic converter. So Batman came up to me and he hit me over the head with a vase and he went T-po. I said, "Don't you mean KAPOW? He said, "No, I've got China in my hand." So I went to the dentist. He said, "Say ah." I said, "Why?" He said, "My dog's died." Now, most dentists' chairs go up and down, don't they? The one I was in went back and forwards. I thought this is unusual. And the dentist said to me, "Mr. Vine, get out of the filing cabinet." So I got home, and the phone was ringing. I picked it up, and said, "Who's speaking please?" And a voice said, "You are." So I rang up my local swimming baths. I said, "Is that the local swimming baths?" He said, "It depends where you're calling from." So I rang up a local building firm. I said, "I want to skip outside my house." He said, "I'm not stopping you." I was looking for the directions for Radio 1 in London, and a guy pointed me in the direction of the building. I said, "That's not a building, that's a cloud." He said, "Down a bit." I have spent the afternoon rearranging the furniture in Dracula's house. I was doing a bit of feng shui. I want to tell you a bit about myself. I'm a very quiet and secretive person, and that's it really. Apparently, 1 in 5 people in the world are Chinese. And there are 5 people in my family, so it must be one of them. It's either my mum or my dad. Or my older brother Colin. Or my younger brother Ho Chan-chu. But I think it's Colin. So I was in my car, and I was driving along, and my boss rang up, and he said, "You've been promoted." And I swerved. And then he rang up a second time and said, "You've been promoted again." And I swerved again. He rang up a third time and said, "You're managing director." And I went into a tree. And a policeman came up and said, "What happened to you?" And I said, "I careered off the road." This policeman came up to me with a pencil and a piece of very thin paper. He said, "I want you to trace someone for me." So this lorry full of tortoises collided with a van full of terrapins. It was a total disaster. So I told my girlfriend I had a job in a bowling alley. She said, "Tenpin." I said, "No, it's a permanent job." So I told my mum that I'd opened a theater. She said, "Are you having me on?" I said, "Well, I'll give you an audition, but I'm not promising you anything." So this cowboy walks into a German car showroom and he says, "Audi." So I fancied a game of darts with my mate. He said, "Nearest the bull goes first." He went bat and I went moo. He said, "You're closest." So I met this bloke with a didgeridoo and he was playing Dancing Queen on it. I thought, that's aboriginal. I visited the offices of the RSPCA today. It's tiny, you couldn't swing a cat in there. My mate bet with me that I'd never eat at a barbecue with Matthew Corbett. I said, "That's a sweepstake." A friend of mine always wanted to be run over by a steam train. When it happened, he was chuffed to bits. So I went to the record shop and I said, "What have you got by the doors?" He said, "A bucket of sand and a fire blanket." What do you call a lady with big teeth that sleeps in the afternoon? Siesta Renson. I've got a friend who has got a butler whose left arm is missing. Serves him right. I was in the army once and the sergeant said to me, "What does surrender mean?" I said, "I give up."